live here. Getting ready to go.
Let's well, I got 7 o'clock, so let's get started.
Okay.
All right, guys, it's 7 p.m. I'm Captain Mike. I'm here with Captain Pete. Today we're going to talk about fishing for drum, and we're not talking about the puppy drum. We're talking about the big drum, the big bull reds, the big black drum. But first, a little bit about the Virginia Saltwater Sport Fishing Association. If you haven't heard of us yet, we started just last summer as a sport fishing association to try to represent the saltwater angler throughout the entire state of Virginia, to try to fight for your fishing rights, to try to do what we can to protect the fisheries that we have. Because you haven't noticed over the years, every year they take away more of our fish, and it's getting harder and harder. So, and I will tell you, the commercial anglers are very well organized, and they show up to meetings with strong positions, and they make their point. The recreational angler is terribly organized. We show up, we argue amongst ourselves, bicker amongst ourselves, and we're hoping to try to at least do a little bit of consensus building and try to have some strong positions on our fishery. So if you're not a VSSA member, consider joining. You can go to our website at ifishva.org. It's only $25 a year. It's not a lot of money, and you can join VSSA, and you get access to all these videos. You can watch them anytime you want. They'll be archived on YouTube, and plus we're still working on what other member benefits you guys will get. But the most important one is we're going to work on our fishery issues and try and protect our fish for the recreational angler. Just a quick word about Cobia. You know, we've been following the Cobia situation. I know a lot of you guys are following Cobia, and I'll be honest with you. At the moment, it's still not looking pretty. You know, the feds haven't backed off their 20 June closure date, and they're pushing the states to implement 20 June or soon thereafter in state waters. It's the options that are being discussed are painful options, like one cobia per boat, or closed most of the summer, and none of the options look pretty. 2016 is going to be ugly, and even and they're working on an amendment for the fisheries management plan for what 2017 season will look like. Even that's already looking ugly, and so we got a lot of fights. April 18th is the next VMRC finfish meeting. If you're a cobia angler, show up to that. The decision won't be made there, but the finfish committee is an advisory panel, and they make recommendations to the VMRC associate commissioners, and their positions are heavily weighted as they're making their decision. So you get to show up, and the public can show up to those and make comments. Also, at the April 26th VMRC meeting is supposedly when the decision will be made, which will set our 2016 Cobia regulations. So April 18th and April 26th, if you can make it, show up, because the more anglers there screaming foul, the better. We need to flood the room and just tell the associate commissioners that we're just not going to stand for this. You know, closed seasons is a non-starter, and one per boat is a non-starter. So, anyways, that's the bad news. The good news is the drum are on their way, and so we're here with Capt. Pete, and we're just going to do an informal sit here and just BS about drum fishing. We're not going to put up PowerPoint slides and bore you to death. We're just going to talk about fishing. And so you can ask questions on the chat panel, and I'll read them and give them the questions to Pete, and he can answer them. So Pete, you want to give a quick little introduction about drum fishing?
I'm Capt. Pete, pirate. Been drum fishing since 1974. Caught over 600 citation drum. Caught citation drum for 33 years in a row. I'm a drum fisherman. That's what I do. It taught me everything else I needed to know about fishing. It taught me knots. It taught me patience. It taught me how to read the water. And it taught me how to think like a fish. Because if you can't think like a fish, you're not going to catch that fish. Yeah, the internet has improved at fishing immensely because now you don't have to think at all. You can just go on the internet and figure it out. But back in the old days, there weren't drum everywhere, and you had to fish hard. So that's where the beginning was, and I fished hard. And I lost that big drum my first trip, and it took me 7 years to catch another big drum.
7 years.
7
Wow.
years. That's a lot of time put in.
Yeah. So talk about the reports that you're getting in now from people that are doing drum
Okay,
trips.
what I've gotten so far, water's still cold. No drum on the trout lines or in the nets yet on Eastern Shore. This comes from very good sources. Commercial fishermen that fish over on Eastern Shore, and there have been no drum caught yet. So those are yet to come. The first set of drum that comes in is going to come into the inlets, both black and red, and they're coming from offshore. They're not coming from south. They come from offshore where they've wintered, and they're going to come into the inlets and start feeding. And that's when the commercial fishermen catch them on their trout lines and in their nets. And that's when I know it's time for me to go. But so far, nothing. There's stripers in the surf on Eastern Shore. If you want to catch those, that's a good place to go right now. But I don't really care about that, so I'll wait for the drum. And we need about another 8 degrees in water temperature to catch the drum.
What water temperature do you like to
like
start?
58 to 60 degrees to start. And I've caught them up to, almost 76 degrees. But 58 is usually a starting point.
You haven't noticed anywhere from 52 to even 55 on the outgoing. And now it's
Right.
even starting to drop a little bit more with these cold fronts.
Yeah, with the cold fronts coming through and the weather up north, that all that water drains into the Chesapeake. People don't understand that, but water drains into the Chesapeake Bay from the mountains and all those
Right.
creeks, and they get snow and ice and crap up there, and it all drains into the bay. And then it takes about 2.5 days for it to get to the bridge tunnel. And when it gets to the bridge tunnel, all of a sudden the bottom falls out, and temperatures go down 4 or 5 degrees. And